Well, good afternoon, friends. It's been a fair while since I've posted anything to the blog. It's probably mainly because what time I did spend in here, I spent working. We weren't really doing the sort of work that was going to show it'd be much fun to show photos of. It's mostly been changing wiring, changing point motors, and so we're just back at the stage where I can start cleaning up the mess. And yeah, so there's the old helix. The old helix is now working properly. Everything's fine. Trains run up and down. Reversing loop works. Wanganella has got all its point motors in, and it's working fine. The Batagini, yeah, it just needs a few more point motors wiring up, but it's working okay. Finally fixed the daylight cars up so they run. Fixed a few problems up with some of the freight rolling stock as well. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way everything's working. Okay. Those that have followed the blog for a while would realise that before I got the other room finished, or the other side of the room finished, I needed a way of getting trains to run. So I put an escape track, which is over there, and it runs down behind into the coal siding. And now that everything's running, now that I've got track work on the other side, I don't need that track. And we had a rather ugly, let's see, come down here, trying to talk and point this camera. We had a rather ugly crossover here, through here. And I've got rid of that. Now the broad gauge just runs past Wodonga Loop as it should. The standard gauge comes down the back of Wanganella and divides and comes across into Wodonga Loop, and goes to Wodonga. Now that bypass track is now connected solely to the standard gauge. It has a pair of points here, and it becomes a standard gauge storage yard. Yeah, so she continues to go down there like she normally does. And well, this mess. And she came down the back of here, and it ran into the broad and standard gauge going to Albury through those Indonesian points. Well, the Indonesian points had a strange wiring problem with them, and I couldn't get the separate standard gauge and broad gauge, so I pulled it out. Now, what I'm going to do, I'll see if I can get my hand over here somewhere. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a curved point in there, like that. Bring those two tracks from the back, underneath there, bring those two tracks in here, and they're going to join into here and run into coal siding. So it's a little bit not prototypical, but at least it gets those two tracks. Now I can store trains going up the hill or down the hill in those two sidings or two tracks. They can arrive at those tracks through this point here, through this head shunt, or they can arrive back through the head shunt. And it's, as you can see, like the real thing. You've got a head shunt for Wodonga broad gauge, and you've got a head shunt for Wodonga standard gauge. So that'll work that out. Then it can enter the 3 standard gauge roads, or it can even enter the buggy exchange over here. Yeah. So that'll get trains back into the layout. If I've got a train coming around the coal siding, I've got room in that storage road, I can actually get rid of one of the trains in the coal siding to allow another train to arrive. Yeah, so that should work out all right. On the side here, we've got 2 arrival tracks for the broad gauge. There's a loco just come off a train. She's got a way of running around. There's the superphosphate shed, and then somewhere in there, actually it's sitting up there temporarily. That'll be, it's not prototypical, but that'll be the cement siding, which will be here, I think. So here, where are we? Back a bit. I think the head siding, the shunt, haven't worked out what to do with it yet. But the idea originally was that this side would have been the super shed, and the other side was going to be the cement siding. So we'll have to just rearrange that slightly, not rearrange it, but set it up better. Yeah, so the coal siding's in pretty good order, except for the mess. I apologise for the mess. I knew if I cleaned the mess up before I took the video would never get done. We've had so many projects going, we've just had to continue. Putting the tools down where we need them, and of course boxes, bloody bits and pieces. I've just got my two brass, so we can show them. The two brass C-classes. They've just come back from Sydney after having sound fitted and lights, step lights and everything fitted. They're not actually working that well. I'm going to have to pull the bogies apart and see why they're shorting. Yeah, but that'll be the shell depot at coal siding. Up here on the branch, the Bilardo is up running, all the points work, everything runs okay, track's reliable, and power, all the power works. We're going to modify the track here, going around the curve. Actually, it sort of sorted itself out, but I was getting lots of derailments, particularly steam engines, brass steam engines. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I think the camera's wandering a bit. Yeah, I've got to fix that bridge up. Got a few. Yeah, it's just not stable. Put a level crossing in. Fix up the scenery. I've got a Shinohara point down here, which is giving me the bloody heavies. 2 Shinohara points on the whole track, and they're stuffed. This one's a 3-way. Where is it? There, it's a 3-way, and I just can't get it to work. I ran my new spoil train, which Sean Jenkinson built for me. It's a beautiful train, runs really nicely except through those points. Can't keep it on the track. So it's the points, it's not Sean's work. Yeah. Down here we've got Wodonga. Got a bit of storage road over there for pass trains. The couple of sprinters in the shed, or near the shed. There's 8 points to go in there. That's one of our next projects, and there's 3, I think, or 4 down the other end, down there near the goods shed, near the loco shed. So yeah, hopefully everything